right, Apache Mall is close to where Ben lives. The one and only Apache Mall in Rochester. And I was just trying to say that we were patching through to YouTube, but then it led my brain to Apache Mall because my brain's kind of weird and does weird stuff. Tonight we got a special show for you. It's Hafeman Bros and Rick. Oh, mostly healed up Ricko, I think, right? How are we doing, Rick?
More or less.
Yeah.
No more holes. Good to go. No more holes in me, unlike the Packers offensive line. It's still full of holes.
Oh.
Whoa.
And apparently, what else? John Gruden's integrity has holes. What's going on, man? What's going to happen to your Raiders now? John Gruden, come on. For an old guy like Richard Sherman, he's putting it on the line. You're going to lose draft picks, money.
The Raiders have a long history of doing stupid things, and they're keeping that tradition alive. I don't know. The rules are pretty clear. You'd think that someone who's been around as long as Gruden would know this, especially, as you said, angling for someone who, many people would maybe question how much he has left in the tank, but we'll see. So
Ben's debuting a new mask. Ben, what you got?
I don't know, but you got to start the chat or else no one's going to be able to chat.
I'm doing it right now. That's why I toss it to you. So
number one. Number two, I don't know if anybody, I actually listened to that and watched that interview that Chris Collinsworth did with Richard Sherman and John Gruden.
Yes.
And Collinsworth was egging him on the whole entire time.
Really? That's not what Mike.
So if I was Gruden, I would simply show the whole video and be like, Collinsworth, like Gruden didn't say anything, and Collinsworth is like, man, it just seems like I mean, look at Richard. He's a free agent, I think. I'm pretty sure he's a free agent coming, or he's gonna be a free agent. You can go right after him. I mean, come on, John. And then Gruden didn't want to say anything for a while, and then he did it again, and then Gruden said like a little bit, and then he did it a third time, and then Gruden kind of was like, well, yeah, I mean, we can get together and talk about it, blah blah blah. So it's Chris Collinsworth's fault. He was the idiot egging it on. And I think Gruden just got caught up with it, when he's doing an interview and all this stuff. And at first he wasn't saying anything. So I think it's both crap if Gruden gets in trouble for that, because Collinsworth is the one who started it all.
The clip I saw, he was certainly led into it, but I don't think the NFL and their often illogical rules committee is going to be very concerned about entrapment in this case, especially when it's a team that is often pushing the line and doing things like ignoring COVID protocols and contesting penalties that they get issued for COVID protocol violations, and pretty much arguing about most rules in the league. But they'll overcome. They'll probably be solidly in second place in the division again this year. So we'll see what happens.
It just makes the end result sweeter when you achieve victory and have to overcome some obstacles that you put in your own way.
Well, if they lose draft picks, they don't usually do very well with those anyway. So
that's what we're thinking. Packers too. Maybe the Packers should pull some stuff, lose some draft picks. What are they going to do with them anyway? Put some guys on the roster they might use a couple years from now. Who knows? I'll
be back. I gotta go. I'll be back.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Ben is getting a little older, so those urgent bathroom urges, they come on fast. It's go now or you never know what might happen. So that happens. Anyway, Bernard's here. Bernard, how you doing? Bernard does not like Chris Broussard because he's hating on Rodgers. I know Chris Broussard too with Rodgers. I don't get it. And some of these guys just don't like Rodgers. It's super annoying, but anyway, they can all be quiet now. They'll wait for the next thing to try to talk about, but they can. I don't know. I just don't listen to those guys anymore, man. Bernard, it's up to you. If you want to listen to them to get yourself worked up, get the fire going, that's cool. But if that really aggravates you and you want to remove the aggravation from your life, just don't worry about those guys anymore. That's what I'd do if I were you. But thoughts?
Well, a lot of these guys just contradict themselves from one week to another, or even
It
one
is
day to another.
amazing, isn't it? Like if they ever went
So,
back and got called out and just run the tape and play play it on them, that would be really.
that's what sells. I think we talked about it previously. I don't know if it was on this show or your other show you were doing, but it's looking for the soundbite, the big splashy, controversial, what's going to get attention and get people talking. And that's what a lot of these guys are after, right? I mean, it's you pick a high profile target, you say something that's going to catch people's attention, and you know, it often doesn't make sense or doesn't agree with the stats or what you're actually seeing. So I'm with you. A lot of these guys, it's just not worth wasting the time to watch them and get their hard hitting analysis that's not really based on anything. So, especially Cowherd and people that just seem to be still stuck about 10 years ago.
Another guy, I mean, TJ Lang, one of our favorite Packers, he said some stuff a few weeks ago that was, I don't know how he could have thought it wouldn't be stirred into some big thing. Because then when they had him on a show to talk about it afterwards, what he actually said, he was totally downplaying and trying to spin it a different direction. But he knew what he was saying when he said it. It was to kind of get some attention, and then he got a bunch of attention after that. So he gets the game. That's how a lot of these guys play it. That's fine. Hey, I got to follow up on that though before we move on from the stupid Raiders thing, which I wasn't even planning on talking about tonight, but then it happened. And I was like, okay, I got to talk about it.
Low hanging fruit. I get it. It's okay.
No, that's not even the reason. But it spurred this onto me. Like, this is professional sports, right? This isn't like you're jockeying and going after a recruit or whatever in college, where some of those things I understand. Okay, fine. This is professional sports. These are grown individuals. Should there even be these stupid tampering rules? Like, who cares if a coach from another team talks to a player that's under contract with another team? Who gives a rip? They're all adults here, right? Why is that even an issue? I don't get it.
Well, I think it's interesting that so many of these rules seem to have a double standard almost. And I get it. The players are the ones that are laying out their health and they deserve to get paid. I'm not arguing with that side of it at all. But, it seems like often the teams are the ones that get kind of screwed over in the rules and the tampering and contract negotiations, right? I mean, the team can't hold out to pay somebody less if the guy sucks. But, if a player is unhappy and wants to hold out, he can do that. Guys want to get paid, that's fine. If it gets what they need to get, then more power to them. But I had seen something today that apparently it's been rumored that the Players Association is essentially encouraging agents to question the salary cap moves and essentially collude when looking for deals for free agents, or really fight cuts that are being made in response to cap issues. And yeah, just in light of what's going on with this possible tampering issue with Gruden, I just think it's interesting. Coaches can't go after players that are 2 weeks away from being a free agent when the player is very clear that they're going to be going out on the market. But the players can collude and play the system, whatever, to try to maximize their return on things. So the double standard bothers me, but if I had to pick a side, I'd totally be on the side of the players rather than the owners, right? I mean, again, the players are the ones that are out there risking their health. They're the ones actually doing it. The owners are cashing the checks, but at least be clear about the rules, or
I just say get rid of those rules, man. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I guess they're.
You already have the structure.
There's ways around them.
You already have the structure of how many players you can have. You have the salary cap. You have the other things. Like, so what? It's no different than in any other real world business setting where you might be working for some place. Somebody recognizes you as a potential good person for their business, and they'd be like, hey, what do you think about it? I might talk to you about the opportunity that they might provide you if you're interested in coming working for them. I get their contracts and things, and you have to find a way to end that contract or whatever. But talking about it, dumb. Dumb. Anyway, hey, go Pack Go in the mug tonight. Green, gold, and bold and old. And I'm drinking.
That's like Eckes' song, isn't it?
That's right. Very close. That's where he got it from, I think. Drinking a golden ale from Delta Beer Lab. Hey, Rick, did you happen to catch my radio show from last Saturday where I talked about Delta Beer Lab quick?
I have not listened to it yet.
Oh, it was good because we were talking about Delta Beer Lab just celebrated. Plug for Delta Beer Lab here in Madison, Wisconsin. Great, awesome place where they let you do cool stuff. Their whole place is set up like a laboratory. And we said next time Rick comes to Madison, we got to go there because they let you drink beer out of beakers. You get to drink beer out of beakers, man. That's awesome. I want to do it. Hey, Mom and Dad got their shots today. First COVID shot from Mom and Dad.
Woo-hoo.
Dad got it in the right arm and his left arm hurts. Dad. It's classic Dad, Ben.
That's weird.
It's classic Dad. So what did you have to do there? I blamed it on old man incontinence stuff.
Oh, it was Olivia.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Everything okay?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not really.
You got to go or what's up?
Huh?
You got to go or are you good?
No, she's fine.
She's fine? Okay. All right. Tell
I
her
wouldn't be here if she wasn't fine.
All right. Well, girls can, kids, any human being can get emotional at times. I get it. Sophia had a major meltdown like last week one day. Just totally freaked out about everything. And I was trying to help her out with stuff and I couldn't help her. I couldn't console her. I had to stay. I didn't go to work. I was late 3 hours later than I was going to go to work. It was like, but there was no help that could be given. Sometimes we reach our points and some stuff. I don't know if that happens sometimes. All right, we'll get into the Packer talk here. Bernard says you look crazy, Ben. You do look kind of
good.
You look kind of scary with that. I think it's with the hair pulled back too. And the mask. It's kind of freaking me out a little bit.
I'd probably be nervous if I saw you in a parking lot and it was kind of dark.
Really?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, Eckes had some thoughts. We'll get to those in a little bit.
Eckes had thoughts.
Yeah, thoughts. We'll cover the J.J. Watt rumors real quick because nothing's definitive yet. Eckes is talking about how, he wants Watt, but only for a bargain, only for like $9 million max and all this stuff and whatever. So, but then it's been rumored or reported that someone's offered Watt 15 to 16 million a year and all this stuff. And clearly I think that would be the Packers. They like to overpay for free agents, right? I think that's actually the Packers with the $15 to $16 million offer. That would be my guess. But Eckes doesn't want that. He doesn't want to overpay for Watt because apparently he talks to dumpster statesmen or maybe it was just him and Matt Messerschmidt talking privately the night before this happened, which is interesting. But because Messerschmidt's a Vikings guy anyway, what does he know about J.J. Watt? Get out of here. Anyway, Messerschmidt had convinced him that his Watt's best days were behind him. And, it might be okay to have him come, but he's really not going to be that productive on the field and all that stuff. What do you think about that, Ben? Because I think he still could be productive on the field.
I think he'd be perfect as a defensive end in a 4-3, and or a D tackle in a 4-3, something in that way. Defensive end on first and second down, defensive tackle on third down. He's not the same quarterback pressure guy. He's not. And we saw that when we played Houston this last season where he just couldn't get to Rodgers quick enough. And, Rodgers made a couple plays on him and all that kind of stuff. But he also showed that he's still got strength. He can still get off blocks. He plays the run great. There was a stat I heard earlier this week. He was the most double-teamed player in the NFL this year as a defensive player on the defensive line. Wow. No other player was double-teamed more than J.J. Watt, and that includes Aaron Donald. So Think about that. So yeah, his numbers were down a little bit, but he played the whole year, and he played the whole year just 2 years ago. You know, it was the year in between where he missed some games, and then of course the 2 years before that where he missed a bunch of games because he was hurt. But the bottom line is, what this team needs is a guy to get everybody engaged, stay on target, play till the whistle, do their assignments, and have the defense run the way it's supposed to run. Because that's the problem with the Packers defense. And it's obviously coaching can't do it. But there is no player on the team from last year who has the authority to get guys to play to their abilities and to their assignments. So the only thing I can think of is J.J. Watt. Because if you remember, every press conference after a game when they're losing, he was going nuts. He was losing his mind. He was just like, I don't even know. He's like, I don't know. He's all depressed because he's on a losing team. His guys wouldn't listen to him. Nobody's doing the right things. His team stinks. And if you put that on a good team, a guy who wants to win, who's been around for a long time on a stinky team, he's back in Wisconsin, that could be the key piece the defense needs, as well as the new defensive coordinator. Those two guys together could make the Packers defense into something special, even with the guys they have now. Because even like Zadarius Smith, he can make some plays if he just tries every play. And if you got J.J. Watt smacking you upside the head when you don't try, maybe he'll start trying every play. That's what I say. Get him. I don't care how much he costs. I think J.J. Watt is more important to be on a Packers than Aaron Jones or Corey Linsley at this point, because of what the defense needs. The defense has talent. It just doesn't have discipline. J.J. Watt will bring the discipline.
He has 101 sacks in his career, okay, from an interior kind of position. I mean, that speaks for itself. I know he only had 5 sacks last year, but a couple of things. I mean, we only saw him, I didn't watch his whole season, but we watched him the whole game against the Packers, and he still was penetrating. He still was disruptive, a bunch of plays. He still was doing a bunch of, it's just that Rodgers made some plays. Rodgers got the ball out quick at times. Rodgers beat him to the punch before he could get there, stuff like that. So the sacks didn't come. And then the other thing we saw in that game is after they started just getting destroyed, and he's like, I'm almost to the guy, or, oh, I blew up my gap or whatever. And then he turns around and looks and somebody just dropped coverage, or guys are out of position or not doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, he just had enough of it. He was just like, what else am I supposed to do here? You know? So that, I think, also as a human being, that would affect you and eventually would affect your play as well. And I think it did a little bit for him last year. I think he just had enough of the losing and enough of the, the organization. They changed direction. They thought they were going in a better spot. Then they completely tanked out, and they had that whole Bill O'Brien thing. And I never thought that was a good hire to begin with. And then everything was just a mess. So what is he supposed to do? He's getting to the finish line of his career, wants a chance to win. That team wasn't doing it. On top of it, the guys in his unit were a mess. So what are you supposed to do at that point? So for the people that are like, oh, he's a shell of himself, he's not going to be that productive, blah, blah, blah. I don't think so. I think, like you said, a motivated guy that's back home in a better position, feeling good, used appropriately, I think he could be dynamite. And the leadership and all that stuff, crucial too. So I 100% agree on all that.
It'll be better than Dean Lowry and Kyle Lancaster, and it'll help Kenny Clark not stink, right?
It'll help
give him a teammate to help him, right? That's all I'm saying. Okay, Rick, go ahead.
I mean, I don't think you can argue that he's the same player that he was, 5 years ago, right? I mean, he's not at his peak anymore, but the guy was so flipping good that even having lost a little bit, he's still an impact player, right? I mean, he's the kind of guy that the Green Bay could basically build their defense around. That's what you're saying. Like you were saying, they need a force on the defensive line. They need someone who's really going to be a leader, someone that they can rally around, right? I mean, the Reggie sort of player. Even with, when I tie this into what Gruden was saying with Sherman, bring a guy in who's a veteran who can be a leader on the defense. That's what Green Bay really needs. And, Watt's someone who's going to lead by example. It's not just a lot of rah-rah, trash talking, dancing around, whatever. He's going to go out there, play hard, and expect everyone around him to play hard too. So, yes, he could still make an impact. I think he'd be a great addition to the team. I don't think they can afford to pay him whatever he wants, but I think there's also probably some likelihood that he'd be able to come to Green Bay for a little less than what, say the Jets or someone throw a ton of cash at him. He doesn't want to be in another situation like that, right? He wants to go somewhere where he's going to be happy, a good, positive team environment with a chance to win. Now, how much of a discount does that buy you? They're not going to get him for the minimum probably, but if you could get him for 8 or 9 million instead of 16 million, it's a pretty good deal. So I'd like to see him in Green Bay, but
I'd pay him more than Zadarius Smith, and you're not even going to pay him.
Well, that's 21 million.
Yeah,
you're not even pay him 22 million then, because Zadarius is making 21 million this coming up season.
Just
21 million.
Just put it in comparison.
That piece of crap.
And even Preston Smith. Like, what's Preston Smith making? Right?
16.5 million.
So you're going to pay
16.5 million.
You're going to propose paying JJ Watt half of what you're paying Preston Smith? Like, I don't know, man. But I get it. I get the whole cap. And Bernard points it out. He doesn't think the Packers have enough cap space. They still got to make some moves to pull it off. But Rodgers has been in talks about giving some money back to the Packers, restructuring. That's underway. Bakhtiari gave $8.3 million back with restructuring, which he should have anyway. Like, he should never been the highest paid lineman in the league and all that stuff. That's just ridiculous. He's not good enough for that. We're going to get to the lineman in just a second. I want to dovetail into the leadership conversation too, because I think that's really interesting. And it brings me to some guy I just watch this awesome video on. But one quick point about JJ Watt just to finish is I just looked up this stuff, so I was kind of curious. So he was 220 pounds when he came out of high school. So he went to Central Michigan on a little scholarship, and they had him play tight end. And he was supposed to be, he was told by the coach that he was going to be, catching a lot of balls and involved in the offense. And he caught 7 balls the whole year. So he said, and he talked to the coach after about it, and they were like, "Oh, well, we're going to have you play tackle. We're going to have you gain weight and switch you to offensive tackle." And so then he left and he walked on at Wisconsin. So a guy that was 220 pounds coming out of high school, went to Central Michigan, had that experience, decided to leave his scholarship there, walk on at Wisconsin, became what he became. You know how he became that? Is a bunch of hard work and determination and effort. Plus, he put on a bunch of muscle and stuff like that, obviously. But you gotta build all that when you're 220 coming out of high school. He wasn't 280. He wasn't 260 coming out of high school like a bunch of these other dudes that became big stud D linemen. He was 220. And he made himself into the dominant force that he became. So give me that guy. Give me that guy, please. I don't care what it takes. I know Eckes wants to know on no more than 9 million, but I'll take him for 15 or 16. I don't care.
Cut Preston Smith, cut Dean Lowry. You got $12 million from cutting those two guys. Try to get them in. As far as the cap hits, Devontae's making $17 million, but he's only a $3 million cap hit. Like I said, freaking trade him or cut him. Screw it. Or if you want to, extend him. Make his money only $3 million this year, and extend it make his contract extension go to the next couple of years. That'll save you $14 million right there and get you under the cap, because they're like $11 million over right now. So there's a lot of different, like, if you want to get under the cap, there's ways to get there.
Yep.
And because the signing bonus, they can make the signing bonus be whatever it needs to be, and tell Devontae, hey, this is the way it's got to be this year, or else we're going to stink, and that kind of stuff. So, listen, they're not going to sign back Aaron Jones. They're not going to sign back Corey Linsley.
Yep.
But they need help on the defensive line bad, like really, really, really bad, because they have nothing. And J.J. Watt would be the perfect fit as a leader and a player on that defense.
And they've been down on how long has it been? Trying to find another good defensive lineman. I mean, Mike Daniels was there, but he was another late mid-round guy that just kind of, because of his work ethic and because of his effort and because of who he was, internal, motivation, became the player he was. I certainly didn't expect that when they drafted him. But they've missed on a bunch of higher lineman guys. One thing it brings me to is this leadership idea. And Rick talked about Watt leading by example, and a lot of guys leading by example. A guy that I thought of in particular was, I saw this highlight video of Charles Woodson, and I sent it to you guys because when I went back and looked at it, I was like, holy crap. I had forgotten how impactful the plays he made were, like how instinctive he was. And just, I remember some of that, but just how dynamic he was, how much of an impact he made on the game from a defensive back position was incredible. And if you haven't seen it, go back and look for it. It's like a 20-minute video, Charles Woodson highlights or whatever. And it's nuts. It's nuts. And he has so many plays like where the difference is he attacks the play and he attacks the ball. He attacked the ball like nobody the Packers currently have. Not even, Jair, everybody loves Jair. He's the greatest thing, blah, blah, blah. But he doesn't attack the ball like that, And Woodson had 10. So he had 13, tied for a record, 13 defensive touchdowns in his career. 10 of those came while he was on the Packers. That's insane. Over that time span, 10 defensive touchdowns in that time span. He changed games. He changed games. He was amazing. Oh my God.
He was certainly one of my favorite Raider players. Watching the guy even in college, wasn't a huge Michigan fan, being in Wisconsin, pretty much rooted against them, but just some of the games that he had, I remember matchups against David Boston, and the guy was picking a fight with David Boston, who was probably like twice his size at the time. He was scrappy. He was a playmaker coming out of college and made like immediate impact on the Raiders defense. He came in and I don't remember how many interceptions he had his first year, 5 interceptions as a rookie. And, immediately became a factor on the defense for them. It was defensive rookie of the year that year. Strung together about like 4, 5, 6 good years in Oakland, and then started getting banged up, having injuries, and the all too common problem with the Raiders of starting to butt heads with the coaches or coaches pushing for more. And, admittedly, when he came to Green Bay, I didn't know how much he really had left either. He'd had a couple of years with the Raiders that he wasn't real productive, had nagging injuries. And, it's like he came to Green Bay with something to prove almost. And I really felt pretty much his entire time with the Packers, he provided a spark that they just haven't had since then. Like you're saying, he's has a nose for the ball. He just plays hard. He's a consummate team player, but just had a knack for making a big play when they really needed it, whether it was, swinging momentum back and giving them a chance to come back or just putting the game on ice in the second half. Green Bay needs to find somebody like that. And, especially someone in the secondary. You've talked in the past about how it's relatively easy to isolate a corner and just take him out of the game from the offensive coordinator standpoint. But he'd find a way to make an impact, especially as a corner. Like once you become a safety, got a little more free range out on the field. A guy like Palomalu that Steelers will just kind of let roam around back there. But to do that as a corner was really, I think, something that set him apart and really made him a special player. So, I don't know, back to you.
Yeah, he was. I just was so blown away by how impactful he was. But also, there are a number of they showed a bunch of his picks in this highlight thing. There were a number of them where he made the pick because he knew what was going on, and he wasn't even covering the guy that the ball was being thrown to. He recognized I needed a memory refresh, and it was awesome.
I don't know. I just remember him getting pumped up in the Super Bowl and going like this a lot because there's a big play happened and he got excited, but he broke his collarbone because they're playing on that stinking concrete in Dallas. Don't get me wrong; it's not as bad as Detroit's concrete. That's the worst turf in the league. It's like concrete with a concrete slab they're playing on. At least in Dallas, they have like the little carpet on it. But I don't know. I mean, Charles Woodson was, it's a kind of thing where, unfortunately for him, he was deemed a troublemaker and a guy who maybe might be on his last legs, even though he's only 6-7 years in the league at that point.
I think it was 8 years with the Raiders before he came to Green Bay.
Oh, 8 years? Okay, I don't know. But, the last couple of years of the Raiders were nothing that, exciting. And he had an attitude and
still had 10 interceptions, though.
Did he? Well, then I don't get why they let him go, or they didn't want to sign him back. I don't know, and why nobody wanted him. He had to go to the Packers. He did not want to go to the Packers, but he had to because nobody would give him any money. So, good news for us. So I don't know. I mean, it's we all know the Packers couldn't draft worth of crap, so they had to get a superstar player. That's what they did with Reggie White. That's what they did with Charles Woodson, and that's what hopefully they do with J.J. Watt. It's the same thing. I mean, you need a superstar guy to lead the team, to make plays, to do things. Now, J.J.'s not at the level of Charles Woodson was when we got him, and he's a totally different player at a totally different area. But he's very similar to where Reggie White was. So it could be a big difference. I mean, but he's not at all going to have the same impact that Charles Woodson made when he was the Packer. I mean, defensive player of the year, so many plays, big time, interceptions, pass breakups, making plays behind the line of scrimmage. He was playing corner, but he was playing the nickel corner a lot of the time with the Packers there. And that actually did allow him to play. It uses his skills. I mean, if you're a nickel corner, you got to be aggressive. You got to be, and let's face it, they let him grab a little bit more than most guys were able to grab. But that's what made him so good. Just like that pick that guy had against the Rodgers in the NFC Championship games last year with Tampa. He was holding Lazard, but he got off, made the pick. Takes athletic ability to do all that stuff. Charles Woodson had it too.
Just to clarify the INT numbers, he said the last few years in Oakland, the 10 picks he had were with the Raiders after he went back, after leaving the Packers. He had 10 more interceptions with them. The last 3 years before he left the Raiders to go to the Packers, it was 3-1-1. So, but he was injured that last season. So he had 17 with the Raiders before joining the Packers. And then if I can count correctly, 38 interceptions in 7 years with the Packers. And then 10 more when he went back to the Raiders afterwards, which is just, I think, kind of crazy. But just wanted to clarify that he didn't have 10 when the Raiders let it go. But
it's wild because he, Aaron Rodgers talks about this, and he said it multiple times how Charles Woodson was the most talented player he's ever played with, and that's saying something. But when I went back and watched some of that stuff, I'm like, yeah, I get it, man. He was incredible, and and the leadership part is this too, and that's why I wanted to. So this dovetailed for me because of the Watt situation. Could we have another guy kind of mid to late-ish point of his career come in and make an impact and really change the defense around? And then the other part is the leadership, because Woodson was not a big rah, pump you up. Think about this, right? And I wanted to ask Rick about this too, because for me, and get this is a whole different level of football, but anything I was doing, for me, like the guys that would just get in your face and like yell and do all this crap, that didn't really fire me up or carry me through to any sort of motivation. I mean, watch every single time before Saints games, right? Drew Brees is in the huddle, doing all this stuff, and everybody's yelling and they're doing all that. And does that really pump the guys up? Does it stay with them? Not really. I don't think that works for most people. But when you have a guy who leads by example like that, has that incredible skill and play, and then when they talk, it carries a lot of weight. And that's what Woodson did. He was good at talking, but he didn't talk all the time. So when he talked, people listened, and you put all that together, that's the credibility of a skilled veteran who leads mostly by example, but then also has a voice when needed. And I thought he was exactly the guy the Packers needed at that time, and maybe J.J. Watt's the guy they need now.
But he had a tendency of, at least clips I've seen, heard, whatever, of really being team focused. It wasn't about him going out, him celebrating it. It was, let's do this, let's go out and win it. We're going to do this. He had a reputation, at least in my opinion, of being, work hard team player and not going out and celebrating his own personal stats and things. And I think that's a big difference between him and a lot of the stars that you'll see around the league, where some of these guys care about the big contract, say they care about winning, but if they don't win, they're going to chase money somewhere else. So I realize, again, in Woodson's case, if Green Bay was the only one giving him a serious offer, it kind of made it easy to go there, even if he didn't want to. But he did go on record later and said that he was wrong. He I think I got the quote here somewhere. Basically, he was forced to go there, but he'd since come out and really spoke positively about the organization, McCarthy, people of Green Bay and the state of Wisconsin, and declared that it had really, truly been a blessing coming to Green Bay. So it's like admitting he was wrong, basically. Green Bay doesn't stink. It's not a terrible place to go. And that could be one of the keys of getting JJ, is that he might be one of the people that actually would really want to go to Green Bay and not just go there because they have the biggest contract they're throwing at him.
All right.
Zadarius.
Browner, how you doing?
Yeah, well.
Ben, Browner says JJ would be a cool story, but not sure it's worth what it's worth and what he has left. Now we just
Browner, it's worth it, buddy. It's always worth it, Browner.
Total package.
It's not. You're not. If you can pay Zadarius Smith $21 million, and you can pay Billy Turner $9 million, and you can pay David Bakhtiari, be the highest left tackle, all these guys, you can pay J.J. Watt, who's a way better leader and a way better player than every one of those guys I just said. Preston, Amos, every one of them. Even if he stinks on the field, he's worth more money than any of those guys. They can find a way to do it. When are we going to – this is getting a boring show.
We're going
to start getting fired up here?
We're trying
We spent as much time talking about the Raiders as the Packers. This might be one of your best shows you've ever done.
Maybe we need to talk about the Raiders again, because I'm getting mad about something this week. It's time for me to take over the show because I'm bored out of my mind.
You're wearing the silver and black.
It's my Roseville Raiders t-shirt.
No, Ben's wearing the silver.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm not.
Well, that's all we can see is the silver and black.
I'm wearing Counter Void, baby.
Oh, okay. Well, you went with the Raiders colors for your band, so go ahead.
Anyways,
Void.
Why is it that when Aaron Rodgers says a little thing, it's taken and twisted and twirled and whirled and whirled? And Russell Wilson could come out and demand a trade, go on talk shows and talk about how, well, I don't really want to trade, but if I wanted to trade, well, I'd be listening to a trade. But that's not up to me. That's up to them, even though I have, no trade clause. And then when you find out that he got whiny because the Seahawks were like, hey, you just threw 7 picks in the last 2 games and we lost them all. How about if we dial it back a little bit? He got whiny and ran out of a freaking meeting. So then his manager goes out, or his agent goes out and puts out, oh yeah, Russell Wilson, he's not demanding the trade, but if there would happen to be some teams that were interested, these are the 4 teams he'd want to go to. And everywhere I see, they're all like, wow, Russell Wilson, it's just, well, you can really understand why he's so upset. Because I mean, he was doing so good when it was let Russ cook. He was doing so well, and then they kind of just pulled the reins back on him. They pulled the reins back on him. Well, yeah. Well, why did they? Because he sucked. Plus, what happened when I showed you the video of the Rams against the Seahawks getting ready for the Packers against the Rams? I showed you guys wide open. And Russell Wilson is standing there looking at the freaking pass rush instead of looking at the guys he can throw the ball to. Because he's too worried about the pass rush. And then he blames his offensive line for his sacks. When he runs around all over the place like a ding-dong and makes the play go 25,000 times longer. What? I am getting sick of these diva freaking quarterbacks. Especially Russell Wilson, who I freaking hate. I thought I hated Pete Carroll more. But after this situation, I know now I hate Russell Wilson more than Pete Carroll. I hate Russell Wilson more than just about any player in the NFL. He's the fakest, most freaking lying sack of crap in the history of all time. What did he do for the last 10 years? Go Hawks, go Hawks, go Hawks. Now all of a sudden, he wants out? Really? You whiny little bruja? I can't wait. I can't wait till they trade him to the Jets or the Bears or some other team. And he thinks he's had it bad in Seattle, going to 2 Super Bowls, making the playoffs all the time. Let's see you go to a team that stinks, Russell Wilson, when you're freaking 5-11 every freaking year. And then you suck. How about a guy who's never had a single vote for MVP, yet he thinks he's the freaking best quarterback in the league? Sorry. You got 2 guys with 3 MVPs, and Rodgers and Brady, or maybe Brady's got more than 3. I don't even know. All I'm saying is this, Rick. You're the big Raider fan. What do you say about this? Russell Wilson wants to come to your team, Rick. Do you want him? Do you want him? Answer me.
I don't really understand where that's coming from. I mean, I know Carr is not destined for the Hall of Fame the way he's been playing, but I think he played well enough, and it seemed like the team's been showing enough support that I don't see them moving on from him to bring in Russell Wilson. I don't think they have enough to. I mean, they're rebuilding. They don't have enough to give up to bring a guy like that in. I didn't say that. It reminds me of OJ's defense. I didn't do it, but if I did, here's how I did it. I don't, maybe I should have gone there, but I don't really see him leaving Seattle. He might whine and pout and whatever, but I don't think this is a year to be trying to do it. Deshaun Watson's still pretty much setting the market for what a quarterback trade is going to get. I mean, if there's any trades going on with the Raiders, I could see it maybe being if the Texans move on from him, they'd be bringing in Mariota. But I don't see Russell Wilson going to Las Vegas. So that's my take. I think it's ridiculous too that I'm not demanding a trade, but if I did, here's where I'd want to go. Hope the fans turn on him and the 12th man turns into the Boo Birds instead of cheering for him. I don't know. It seems like a crappy thing to do. So, especially when you've seen how great Green Bay's offensive line has been for the last decade and things Rodgers had to deal with. And so.
Yeah. It's interesting, man. Wilson is that's one thing about him. Character matters. And I've said it many times, a number of times on this show, but other times just to other people, is that when Brett Bielema is the guy that you go down with, and that's why you come to Wisconsin, I can tell right there, no, I don't want this guy. I don't want nothing to do with this guy because Brett Bielema is a shady character. And that dude, if he's down with Brett Bielema, shady character, bad character guy. And yeah, he goes and says, go, like Ben says, every freaking time. I mean, it's just scripted crap. Every time after every press conference or every game, go Hawks, go Hawks, go Hawks. Like, come on, man. Don't tell me his teammates didn't start seeing through it. And then you hear about the defensive guys that were on the team after those first couple of years of Wilson, and they just got fed up with him. They didn't like the guy. They're like, no, this guy's fake. This is crap. And they started peeling off and wanted to get out of there, and they had to anyway, but they didn't like him. and they told people about it. So, no thanks.
I know there's a little. Oh, go ahead.
Mom doesn't like him. So there's your other test. If mom doesn't like you, forget it, man.
So, I mean, I know it's a little bit chicken and the egg thing where part of his running around like the Keystone Cops is because the offensive line doesn't always give him time, but the guy never stays in the pocket if they make him one anyway. So
he's too damn short. He can't see anything.
So, you can't put it all on the line if, like, how do you, especially if you're a tackle getting beat, you can't ride the guy outside because that's where he's going to be going. You don't know where he's going to go. Even if he rolls up to the right, he's going to double back and loop back around to the left. And, unless you pancake the guy across from you, how are you going to make sure that he's not going to run right back into the guy when you're blocking him out? So I don't see that being very easy for his offensive line either. Admittedly, there are games where he's running for his life a lot, so it goes both ways. Still don't have a lot of sympathy.
He's got talent, but he's just not the right kind of guy, man. So I don't want to. The only good thing is we don't have to worry about the Packers being interested at all. So that's a good thing.
Well, let's hope not. But I think you should go to the Saints because they had to deal with Drew Brees' fake butt for all these years. Now, I might as well have Russell Wilson for another fake 10 years. And there you go. And I know they're like 70 million over his cap or whatever, but they'll figure it out. They can find ways to get on cap.
They could have the most on quarterbacks spent. It'd be they still had
90% of their cap on 4 players.
The best part is they should trade for Russell Wilson and then Drew Brees not retire. And then you got Russell Wilson and Drew Brees on the team. And they go and sign back Jameis Winston. And they trade Taysom Hill because that's part of the deal. They got to trade Taysom Hill to the Seahawks, so they at least have somewhat of a quarterback there. And then you got just a big mess. I don't know. All I know is I haven't heard many people in the media like getting on Russell Wilson for this crap. Right. When he is blatantly being a diva pain in the ass. But for years and years, we got to listen to how Aaron Rodgers is a diva when he doesn't even do anything. And people he says one little thing and they're like, twist it and make it be like whatever they want it to be. And Russell Wilson's like, yeah, I hate being a Seahawk. Trade me, pretty much. And everybody's like, well, he's just kind of disappointed in the offense. And I mean, his offensive line really is bad. How can he go back to that team? He's throwing his offensive line under the bus. He's throwing his coaches under the bus. Not only that, they just hired a new offensive coordinator. They involved Russell Wilson in the he had influence in who they hired for the offensive coordinator. And now after they do that, now he wants out. What a whiny piece of crap. And the worst part is he's like, if they trade him now, he's like a $30-some million hit on the salary cap for those guys this year. It's worse than the Carson Wentz hit that the Eagles are taking right now. It's just dumb. I'm sick of all these guys. I just want a quarterback who wants to play, who's a good guy, who wants to play. Give me frickin' Gardner Minshew. Give me Gardner Minshew. I don't care if he sucks. Give me Justin Herbert. That guy looks awesome. I told you that before the frickin' draft. I said, Justin Herbert's the guy. I said it last year. Jason, you were there. You witnessed it. I said he's going to be the man. And he was the man. He's way better than Russell Wilson is. I'll tell you that. And anybody who wants, that's the other thing. I don't think anybody wants Russell Wilson. That's what Bernard is saying. He's right. Nobody wants him. The Seahawks aren't going to get anything for him because they'd have to get enough to make that salary cap hit not be as bad. So they're going to have to get players that can fall. So cheap players that are young.
Yeah, you got to hit on a bunch of late
draft
picks.
And then when draft picks and stuff, right? To make up for the fact that the money is still going to be dead on their cap, they're going to have to trade for young guys that'll be good. And it's there's nobody that can make that happen. Nobody. It's not going to happen. But how can you go back and then have that guy be the leader of your team? He's the leader of the team then. And he's throwing everybody under the bus? I mean, come on. All right. I just had to say it because I'm sick of Russell Wilson. And I think it's a bunch of crap. Now, the Deshaun Watson thing, that guy deserves to get the hell out of town. I'm okay with Deshaun Watson. Carson Wentz, I said that a couple weeks ago before he got traded. I was like, Carson Wentz needs to get out of there. The fans hate him. The whole organization hates him. Everybody in freaking Philadelphia hates him. So it was good for him to get out. And Dak Prescott, I don't know what the heck's going on with that guy, but all these quarterbacks, I think they might actually be moving. I don't even know anymore.
It's crazy. I mean, they used to be never like this type of movement from quarterbacks, but I mean, there's some good ones and they're going to move around. I think Dak Prescott is pretty dang good. I think he could be a very good quarterback in a number of places. I mean, he was tearing it up for me in fantasy early this year until he got hurt.
But what about
some would say that was McCarthy magic, but I think it was actually more Dak Prescott than McCarthy. But I don't know.
So if they franchise him again and they give him an extension at that amount, averaging that amount for the next 3 or 4 years, it's still gonna. I don't see how teams can afford that. Is Dak that good that you can tie up 20% or more of your cap on one player? Well, I mean, what's going to happen to these guys that are coming off their rookie deal? No one's going to be able to afford them. I mean, look at the Packers situation with what they have now. Even if they cut the guys that they should, you can't cut everybody. So you got, say they keep Devontae, Bakhtiari, Rodgers, still got 50 other guys you need to sign, and not a lot of money to pay these guys, right? I mean, so I just feel like the cap is kind of blowing up and almost working against a lot of these veterans too, where if you're not a superstar, you're going to be getting screwed. So.
All right, we got a couple of comments here about the Bears. Double Doink. Hey, how you doing, Double Doink? He's wondering if the Bears had Wilson or Watson. Is that something to worry about? And Browner thinks Watson would be, with some additional wide receiver help, might be a concern. But
problem is the Bears traded away all their first-round picks to get Khalil Mack, and now this is the first year they got a first-round pick again. So they'd have to trade away a bunch, like probably 3 more, their next 3 first-round picks just to get one of these 2 quarterbacks. So you're talking 5 years in a row without a first-round pick. I don't think they'd do it. As much as they probably, the Bear fans would love to have a quarterback that's not, Sid Luckman. They haven't had a good quarterback since Sid Luckman or whatever. But I don't think it's going to happen for the Bears, even though that's one of the teams Russell Wilson said he wants to go to. But the Bears they can't. I mean, they're going to probably have to draft somebody, or maybe they'll pick up like Ryan Fitzpatrick or some crazy guy who's just going to do crazy stuff, and he'll win half the time. Like, I'd be scared of Ryan Fitzpatrick half the time. Half the time you're not scared of him, but yeah, if the Bears had Watson or Wilson, it would be, as a Packer fan, I'd be worried. I can't stand Russell Wilson, but he's scary to go up against, that's for sure. And Watson with the offense that actually, like the Chiefs offense or the Bears offense, which is like the Andy Reid's offense, so variation on West Coast with some extra added features. It's a lot better than what Deshaun Watson has been working with. We watched his offense; it's really stupid. So, it's a totally different team with a totally different offense that uses different guys. But the Bears have no playmakers on offense, so it'd be like a one-man thing. It'd be almost the same type of thing for him. But it'd be scary, that's for sure.
I think, to me, Russell Wilson has a little bit of the Favre factor, where part of it is being able to run around, and not that Favre could run around, but just making things happen, right? I mean, it seems like he's willing to just throw it up there, take a shot, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And that, I think, is the scary thing about him. I mean, he is athletic. He can make things happen. Whether or not he's going to be able to do that on a team where he doesn't have DK Metcalf, who can, bring in everything within 15 yards of him, that's going to be another story, right? I mean, if he doesn't have a possession receiver, these just athletic, freaky guys that can go up and get these balls that he just slings up there, I don't think he's going to have as much success on many teams. But if he finds someone who has these receivers that can still let him do that successfully, he could be an impact player. I don't think Chicago is the right place for him. I don't think playing in the snow, in the slop, in the cold, in the wind is going to help him in any way. I see him being indoor warm weather team if he's going to be successful. Watson, I don't know. I mean, the guy can make things happen on his own, but I guess I don't really see the Bears being the right fit for him either. You know, like you were saying, he's trying to get out of a bad situation and doesn't want to make a lateral move to another one. So
that might be why the Bears haven't had a good quarterback in 4 decades or whatever it is, 5, whatever it is. Because it's not the right situation for anybody, man. It's just not. The Bears still suck. Let's just say it. There's a reason there's a song that's been written and produced and sung over and over and over again. The Bears quarterbacks will always suck because that's the way it goes. Look at they took Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles, who was Philly recipient, who took over for Carson Wentz when he blows out his knee, leads the team to the Super Bowl, leads a crappy team back to the playoffs the next year. They screwed him up. The Bears, go there, Russell Wilson, so you could suck too. Sounds good.
The other thing with the Bears is they traded like 3 picks to move up and move up one spot to get Mitchell Trubisky, who was a big mess when they could have had Deshaun Watson. So there's no way they're going to trade 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson because they screwed up with the 3 picks they traded up to get Mitch Trubisky. That'd be trading 6 picks to get one guy who they could have had 5 years ago if they would have just drafted him at 3 when he was there. It's just dumb. The Bears aren't going to get Watson because it'll just remind all the Bear fans of how stupid they were 5 years ago. It's not going to happen. Russell Wilson, the Bears have nothing to give the Seahawks, so that's not going to happen either. So us Packer fans don't have to worry about the Bears getting a good quarterback. They're not going to have a good quarterback. It's not going to happen. We don't have to worry about it. Are we going to talk about this offensive line thing? And that's the reason why we got Rick on here?
Well, it was all the Raiders.
I thought it was talking about the Raiders.
It was all the Raiders stuff, the Chucky Woods and stuff, the breaking news about John Gruden putting
the thing you'd have to look out for, Ben, is if Russell Wilson would go to the Raiders, and it would pain me, but then maybe they'd ship Carr to Chicago, and that's when you'd have to look out.
Oh, Jekyll and Heckle, Derek Carr. Damn, I had him in fantasy, and he was like awesome one week, and then the next week he scored 2 points. And I was just like, well, how can you be so good one week?
That second Chiefs game that they lost at the end, Derek Carr was amazing in that game. He had like eyes on the back of his head. He was throwing balls like it was amazing. It was amazing. That was a great game by Derek Carr. And then I don't know what happened after that.
Turned into Kirk Cousins.
The inconsistency is incredible. To be that incredibly inconsistent is really something. I mean, to achieve the greatness at times and then be that low other times, that's amazing, dude. So at least you got that for your quarterback.
Hey, we got to talk about Aaron Rodgers stuff now.
What do we got?
Just a couple quick things.
Okay.
First of all, this week, Mike Florio starts talking about what happens if Aaron Rodgers hosts Jeopardy and likes it too much and leaves. Gee, I don't know who said that like a month ago. This guy. So if it happens, and Florio's like, I told you, because I was the first guy who said it. No, Florio, I was the first guy who said it. And I'm going to be right, too. You know why I know I'm going to be right? Because the other big Aaron Rodgers story. On Monday, guess who was the guest on Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show? That Shailene Woodley chick. First question, Jimmy Fallon's like, we've been hearing all the stuff that, like, you're engaged to Aaron Rodgers? Like, do you even know Aaron Rodgers? And she's like, oh, yeah, I heard of all this stuff, too. It's weird. And she's like, it's weird because, we've been engaged for a while. And then everybody's like, what? And then she's like, I didn't know he likes throwing balls so much. And then she's like, hey, I thought he was just a nerdy guy who wants to be the host of Jeopardy. That's what she said. So his new fiance, all he's talking about is Jeopardy. I'm telling you guys, just wait. The Packers aren't going to give him an extension. They're not going to sign anybody. They're not going to get JJ. They're going to draft like crap and wait until summertime, right before training camp starts. And Rodgers is going to be like, oh, yeah, you know what? Jeopardy just offered me a crap ton of money to be their host for the next 30 years. I retire. So long. Good luck to you, Jordan Love.
Who is Jordan Love?
Yeah. I'm calling it. I'm calling it right now. He's got the girl. He's going to have this favorite show. He's never, ever going to be as good a rate as Tom Brady in everybody's eyes. Just walk away and be happy, dude. That's what's going to happen. And I'm going to be right. And all the Packer fans are going to be sad. And I'll be sad too, sort of. But I kind of am ready for a change. That's just me. It's going to happen. Back to you. What do you think?
I got to tell you two things on that because I watched that too. And what was really funny about it is she's talking about stuff. I made Lineker watch it because I knew Lineker could appreciate that. Rick, you should make Vika watch like the first 2-3 minutes of the interview because she's talking about how she's never seen a football game before. She didn't even know he was really, I mean, she kind of knew he was a football guy, but didn't even realize it. She's never watched a football game before in her life. She's never been to a football game. She was like, I don't know him as this football guy. Like Ben said, she knew him as this nerd who likes, nerdy guy who likes to host Jeopardy and likes Jeopardy and stuff. So I just found that really interesting. Like one of the best football players and quarterbacks of all time is with a person who doesn't even see a football game in her whole life. That's amazing. So yeah, that's that was just astounding to hear her talk about it. And then the other part to me, Ben, like you're saying, is this is the scenario I think where it could happen. If Rodgers goes and gives the Packers back money, restructures or does something to give the Packers back a little bit of money, and then they cheap out and don't get Watt. Like let's say the price is going a little higher than they want to go, and they're like, we're cutting it off at 11 or whatever their offer is going to be or whatever, and then they lose out on them. If you give the team back money and they were like, nope, we're just not going to spend that extra $1 million or whatever to get them, that could do it. I could see that happening. I would back them up on that. That's fine. It would suck for the Packers and for us for a while, but they would deserve it. So
I think if that happened, he'd still play out this year, and then it would be done after that. I think we'll still see him this year.
I hope so.
Yeah, but hey, listen, the Jeopardy host gig is this right now.
Right. Timing.
I mean, they're not going to if whoever they give it to, whoever they offer it to, they're not going to offer it to a guy and then be like, oh yeah, in a year or two, when Aaron Rodgers retires from football, we're going to have him be the host. Sorry, guy who's going to be the host for like 2 or 3 years. No. They're going to be like, listen, this is our guy. This is our host that we want. And Aaron Rodgers is one of the 4 people who are finalists who are guest hosting Jeopardy in the next couple of months. Mom said he's going to be on April 5th or something like that is when it starts with him. And if he does really great and he loves it and all this kind of stuff, if he says no to that, that might be his last chance to get it. And that needs to realize it to him. And I think it'll be like, you know what? I got to take it. I got to go. What more could I do in football anyways? I've done it all. I'm the man. The other thing I'll say is this, that Shailene Woodley chick certainly seems way more intellectually stimulating for Aaron Rodgers than the last 2 ladies he's been with. Let's just say that. Because, I mean, good God. Danica Patrick and Olivia Munn, Olivia Munn had 1 brain cell. Danica Patrick had maybe 2 brain cells. And I never understood those 2 relationships. Aaron Rodgers, super smart guy. And every time you ever heard Olivia Munn talk, you're like, does she even know what she's doing? And then Danica Patrick was in a bunch of car wrecks for how many years? So, her brain's messed up. So I just think this is the reason why Aaron Rodgers, I think, has been so happy this last year is he finally found some girl who actually stimulates his brain, and it's the right fit for him. That's probably the biggest difference. And he got, and we just got lucky as Packer fans that he came out and freaking kicked everybody's butt for the whole year. So that's awesome too. Mom says he's hosting 10 shows, 2 weeks worth of shows he's hosting.
Hey. Well, Ben, we have it on record. We have it on the internet that you said it first. So Florio can, if that happens, we'll submit that to Florio's show, and maybe he'll bring it up and recognize you. Maybe not. I don't know, but
probably not.
Chris Sims he might bring it up. Well, we should send it to Chris Sims because he might be able to pull it out. Like Florio's trying to take credit. He's like, oh, hold on, Mike, because hey, look at this guy over here. This jokester. Hafeman bros, whatever the hell these clowns are. This guy said this, whoop, and then roll the tape, baby. There it is.
All right. All right, host, let's get us in this offensive line. I got to work at 5 in the morning. I'm getting tired. Let's
go. Offensive line. All right, let's do it. Offensive line. There's some things happening with the offensive line. Andy Herman did a state of the Packers offensive line. I got to say this, you guys. Now, I'm going to say it at the end. All right, I'm just going to say it right now because it's the only thing that matters. Lucas Patrick is freaking awesome. I don't care. Look at all the Packers offensive linemen. I looked at the stupid PFF grades. I looked at all this stuff. Somehow they got Billy Turner with a higher PFF grade than Lucas Patrick. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. The thing, I don't have the subscription or whatever, so I can't see how many QB pressures they gave up, but apparently Billy Turner only technically gave up 1 sack this year. I know Rodgers got a lot of sacks. He got away from a lot of sacks, but come on. How many pressures did those guys give up? Lucas Patrick is awesome. And he got benched. And then he came back and started the next week and was awesome again. And you know the other thing? Go and watch Aaron Rodgers' 2020 season highlights, this extended version. It's like 22 minutes of highlights. It shows a bunch of completions from every game. But don't watch Aaron Rodgers and don't watch the receivers. Watch the offensive line on that whole thing. And you will see my man, Lucas Patrick, winning on one-on-one blocks, handling his business, and you will also see him as the only Packer when he doesn't have a guy to block. When he goes to help somebody, he friggin' helps. He lays dudes out. None of those other guys do that. Not Pro Bowl Elton Jenkins, not Pro Bowl Corey Linsley, not Pro Bowl David Bakhtiari. No. Lucas Patrick is the only guy that plays like that. And that's why he's the best Packers offensive lineman. I don't give a crap what the PFF grades say. I don't care what anybody else says. He is the best. He's the first Packers jersey I'm going to buy in 25 years and maybe the last. So when Andy Herman, Pack-A-Day Podcast, I'm going to go on myself now. When Andy Herman, Pack-A-Day Podcast, says Lane Taylor looked great before his injury. Yes, he did. I love Lane Taylor. When he says Corey Linsley and David Bakhtiari, the heart and soul of this offensive line, the anchors, they were phenomenal, really well as run blockers too, and phenomenal. When he says Elton Jenkins played really well, but he's not dominant yet, but his versatility is incredible, but he has room to grow, but he's still really good already. Then he says Lucas Patrick had Jekyll and Hyde moments this season. Really solid is all he gets at right guard. And left guard, he really, really struggled. Well, I looked. The left guard games, he played 3 in a row. It was Detroit, Carolina, and one other one that I can't remember off the top of my head. Either way, you have to look at the competition you're playing in those games and the guys he was matched up against. And there were plenty of plays he did do well. So if you want to look at Billy Turner's tape every play, and you want to look at Rick Wagner's tape every play, and you want to
do that. You don't want to do that.
And you want to see how many times they struggled versus how many times they won, I guarantee you Lucas Patrick, even in his crappiest game, won more times than those guys won in any game, their best game. Now, then he goes from that. Jekyll and Hyde, Lucas Patrick really, really struggled at left guard. Rick Wagner was really, really good up until the Bucks game where he finally struggled. No, he was not really, really good. And Billy Turner played, quote, really well. At left tackle and right guard, he struggled, but at right tackle, he's a starting caliber right tackle in the NFL. Quote, Andy Herman, Pack-A-Day Podcast.
Number 32. He's a starter, number 32.
Shh. You don't say Jekyll and Hyde about the best Packers offensive lineman, Lucas Patrick, and then say that crap about those guys. Andy Herman, ban yourself from the internet or redo that video. Done.
Not sure what there is to add on that. No, looking ahead to next year, I don't. Obviously, once Bakhtiari comes back, he's going to be the left tackle. You don't spend that much money on someone and not count on them being the guy for the next however many years. For whatever reason, they're convinced Billy Turner is the answer at right tackle. I don't know why they'd be bringing him back, but they haven't cut him yet. And with him playing as much as he did this past year, I think we're going to see him at right tackle come summer. Like it or not, that's what you're going to have at the two tackle spots. Corey Linsley, especially once we got into the playoffs, it seemed like there were a lot of bad snaps from veteran centers that were just going over guys' heads. And, I remember thinking to myself, we don't see that with Linsley. Does that make him worth $8 or $10 million or whatever he's going to want? I don't think so. Yeah, the guy's been solid, but I don't think they're in a position to be able to pay him what the market's going to be for him this year. So I think you need to plan to move on from him. Does that mean, they're looking to bring in a new center, but keep these guys that they have at guard? I'd like to see Patrick. Jenkins would be fine. With what they have now, those two guys are guys I think they should try to hold on to. Lane Taylor, if you want to bring him in or hang on to him as your backup guy, great. I don't know if any of those guys can play center. I'm not saying that he's great, but I think he'd be a good backup.
I think Patrick's your center this year. Let Linsley go for the money and plug him in.
Yeah, I think that would be a good move.
Because he knows how to help out. I just told you. Jesus, when he helps out, holy crap. He helps out. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. I was just looking at guys who are becoming free agents or are free agents now that their contracts expired, and it's really slim pickings at tackle. And as I said, they got Billy Turner, so they're not going to be looking to bring someone in for whatever veteran minimum even they're going to get. Good number of guards on the market, but it looks like there's a lot of veteran centers that are coming off their first contract. So if they're going to bring someone in, maybe they'll be able to find a guy coming in kind of cheap. Given the cap situation this year, I think there's going to be a lot of guys you're going to be able to pick up kind of cheap as the offseason winds down. There's going to be guys looking for homes. So I guess what I would like to see is, like you were saying, try to establish a starting line with what they have in-house. I think they got guys that are versatile enough. They can move someone to center, have a couple of guys, Taylor, Jenkins, whoever, play guard, and you're hopefully Runyon or one of these young guys will be able to step in if Billy Turner gets hurt this year. But I don't see them parting ways with him until his contract is up, and I hope when his contract is up, they're smart enough not to re-sign him. But I think we're going to be stuck with him at right tackle for this year again. So I don't, you said Josh Nijman barely saw the field.
I don't like it, Rick.
Hey.
They need to spend a pick on a tackle. First round or second round needs to be an offensive tackle to play right tackle in the future, if not right away. Which makes Billy Turner a backup, whatever. They can't go through the scrap anymore.
They had guys. I don't know why we didn't see more Runyon this year.
I don't either.
I know. These young guys certainly couldn't have done any worse than Wagner and Turner were doing on the right side, or especially once Bakhtiari went down.
Well, when they drafted Runyon, everybody kept saying, well, we're moving him to guard, we're moving him to guard, we're moving him to guard. Okay, that's fine if you're going to move him to guard. But when you have all these injuries at tackle, and you have a guy who played freaking tackle in college who is used to doing it, get him in there when these other guys stink, and they didn't do it. And It's all over the field where they just made mind-bogglingly stupid moves by playing time with certain players at certain positions, which are all the positions we're weak at. Corner, freaking inside linebacker, defensive line, offensive lineman, and then our fourth wide receiver. Same thing. They need to. Here's the thing. The reason why they need to go for J.J. Watt is if they sign J.J. Watt, that fix the defensive line. Then they don't have to try to draft somebody. Okay? Then they can use their high draft picks for a corner or an offensive lineman, or for some reason, if a really fast, awesome inside linebacker falls down to them in the first round, please take them. They probably won't. But what we do need is a right tackle of the future and another corner besides Jair Alexander. Because right now we've got nobody. But that's what needs to happen. They need to draft a guy, a talented, athletic player who's good. Now, if they can find another Dave Bakhtiari in the fourth round out of Colorado or whatever, awesome. I don't know if they can, but they need to do something because they can't keep doing what they've been doing, drafting these guys in the 5th, 6th, 7th round and then hoping that one of them's good. They did it at wide receiver. They did it at running back. They did it offensive line last year. Every year they're like, okay, we really need to have a guy who's going to be good. So we'll wait to see what the board looks like. We'll draft the best player available. And then when we get to the 5th and 5th, 6th, 7th rounds, then we're going to draft 3 guys that are need spot and hope that one of them is good. And we got lucky that Aaron Jones was good. They drafted 3 wide receivers, and 2 of them were crap, and one of them can't catch half the time, though he is a playmaker. And by the way, one of these days, we need to do a show about MBS. Because when you look at his stats, I compared his stats to a whole bunch of other receivers this year. He's looking freaking pretty good.
Let's do it.
He only had 33 catches. He still had 690 freaking yards and 6 touchdowns. He should have had like 10 touchdowns and like 850 yards. But anyways, his numbers are insane compared to a lot of these other receivers in the league that they say are so good. But I don't want to get into that today.
I would agree with that. I don't see Green Bay going first, probably even second round on an offensive lineman.
No, that's what Double Doink wants. He wants Alex Leatherman. Or Leatherwood, excuse me. Or Leatherman. Sorry. I want Alex Leatherwood, but I don't know.
Manwood.
I don't know if he's going to be available.
Green Bay's never successfully done that I remember. But
what?
Okay.
Brian Bulaga, he's so great. He was so great.
Yeah, terrible Tony too, right?
Ross Verba, John Michaels, Derek Sherrod.
We went through.
Great tackles.
Not good.
So that's my point. So go for an impact player first or second round. See if you can get a linebacker, receiver, whatever, someone that can come in and you have a chance to develop and get playing time while they're developing. That's not something you can do on the line, right? I mean, you can't rotate guys at guard or tackle to give them some playing time. That just doesn't work. Even though apparently Green Bay was trying to do that with their musical chairs offensive line this past year. So if they draft these guys to develop them, fine, mid-round pick, let them sit for a year or two. But then at some point they need to see the field if you're going to have them develop. So you draft 3 offensive linemen in late rounds and keep them around in case you need them and never let them play so they don't have any experience. You don't know if they're actually good or not. And you're in the same situation another year or 2 later. So I would like to see them take a tackle, early mid rounds, 3rd-ish. I mean, Turner's got one more year? Is he free agent after this year? You guys know? 2 years?
Yeah, he was signed for 4 years. Same as Zadarius, same as Preston, same as Amos. Were they all 4-year contracts?
Yeah, they're all 4-year contracts.
Oh, yeah. Who did that? Oh, yeah. Okay. Best GM of all time.
So, yeah. So, I mean, if you draft a guy now, if you take a first rounder, you're going to let him sit and not play at all for 2 years and then hope that he's good, learns the 3rd year, maybe plays the 4th year, and then.
Here's the thing, though, Rick. He's got to play. Bakhtiari's hurt. So you have to draft the offensive tackle in the 1st or 2nd round, and he needs to play. even if he stinks, he'll get experience. He'll be able to, get something out of it. And then you can ship Billy Turner out of town because this guy maybe would learn and be good. And then when Bakhtiari comes back, because Bakhtiari's not coming back till week 10 or something. ACL, that's going to be a whole year. That's like 11 months. So,
Green Bay will
they have the
Jenkins.
Lineman. They have nobody. Like you said, Josh Nijman or whatever his name is he going to play? No. Runyon Bunyan, they don't play him at freaking tackle. They should. Jenkins is okay, but why would you move the tackle when he's good at guard?
That's probably what they'll do, though. They'll probably slide Jenkins out to tackle. Maybe let Runyon or someone plug him at a guard until Bakhtiari comes back, and then shift everything mid-season and expect it's just going to click.
That's dumb.
I don't like it. That's probably what they'll do.
A good player and get him entrenched in the offense at the position so he's ready to go. Period.
I can tell you one quick thing here. Wildman Dude, who celebrated his 74th birthday last week, has said numerous times, he's been clamoring for it. He's like, the Badgers have had all these offensive linemen come to the NFL in the last 25 years or whatever, right? And the Packers don't draft a damn one of them early, except they fall into Mark Tauscher in the 7th round or whatever the heck it was, right? Well, Cole Van Lanen from Green Bay, Wisconsin. He was, I think he can play tackle. He's 6'5". He got a PFF grade, one of the highest PFF grades of any offensive lineman at 90.8. Now, I don't know how much I can put into that PFF grade based on the fact that they rated Billy Turner higher than my man Lucas Patrick, but that's the metric there. He also was first-team All-America. He was second-team All-America 2019. He was 2020 first-team All-America and second-team All-America from the AP Pro Football Focus. Maybe it's time to give the Badgers linemen a shot since we suck at drafting so many offensive linemen all the time. Maybe it's trying to give Cole Van Lanen a shot, a dude from Wisconsin, from Green Bay. You think that guy's going to be excited to be a Packer and play his butt off? Give him a shot.
Guys that know how to run block?
Give him a shot. I know Wild Man Dude to back me up on that.
That's the other thing. Who's our running back going to be? A.J. Dillon. Maybe it's time we get some big offensive linemen from the Big Ten, like Runyon Bunyan, and we get this guy from the Badgers who's used to run blocking a lot, so that A.J. Dillon's got a place to go. Aaron Rodgers can work off that play action. He had 21 touchdown passes off play action last year. Matter of fact, the Packers ran the most play action passes in the league, and Aaron Rodgers was number 3, I think, or number 2 in average yards per attempt, or whatever it is, air yards per attempt. Do you know who the number 1 quarterback in air yards per attempt was last season? Take a guess.
Not Drew Brees.
He was like number 0, as in like no yards. Nope. Herbert was number 2 or 3. Rodgers and Herbert were 2 and 3, one or the other. I can't remember which one it was, but number 1 was somebody else, a guy who everybody says stinks. And somehow he had a lot of interceptions right off the bat, but he only ended up with 13 for the whole year. And he had 30 frickin' some touchdowns. And he always is good. He sucks when the play breaks down. But man, when the play works, he is the one
Captain
accurate.
Kirk.
Oh, Roethlisberger.
Cousins.
Oh, okay.
Kirk Cousins had the most air yards per attempt last season.
Dang. Without Stephon Diggs?
Everybody craps on him all the time. Kirk Cousins sucks. Kirk Cousins sucks. Kirk Cousins is a top freaking 14, maybe even a top 10 quarterback, as long as the play works. I'd take Kirk Cousins over Russell Wilson. I'll tell you that. I would.
He can throw the ball accurately. I told you how when they did that last year and they did the Pro Bowl challenge the year before when they all met, like those other guys looked like trash during those throwing competitions, and he was lighting them up. But Deshaun Watson and freaking Lamar Jackson couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, and he was throwing all the targets.
The other thing you're talking about PFF grades, J.J. Watt's PFF grade higher than Preston Smith and Kenny Clark and Zadarius Smith. Just so you know. Just so you know, everybody. Not that that's hard to beat, but I'm just saying.
So it makes sense that we pay him half as much. Come on, go get him, Packers. What the hell? Let's do it. Let's go all in. Ben wants him to go all in for once. Corey wants him to go all in for once. Rick, he just wants his team to have draft picks and not get suspended all the time. And I mean, his AFC team. We know your heart's black and silver, but we know you have a little green and gold in there, Rick.
So it's kind of sad not being able to hear California love when watching Raider games anymore, and instead being forced to cue up Viva Las Vegas. But it might grow on me. We'll see.
Oh, man. All right, Ben's got to work at 5 o'clock. Any other parting shots before we go? All right, I'll give you this. Oh, it didn't work.
I'm just saying, I'm wearing this mask because I didn't shave, and my beard is so white, I didn't want anybody to see. God dang it. That butt face is freaking me out. Stop it with that.
Throw butt. You bought the stuff. And you may have thought you gave the gift to my kid, but you really gave it to me. Thank you. All right, you guys take care of yourselves. I got a quick announcement before we go, is that I got a new job. Or actually another job. So I'm going to be starting on with the same radio station. The owner guy called me up yesterday and was like, "Hey, this guy that normally is like the sidekick on all the Saturday shows, which are 4 shows, one of them that I host and 3 other ones, produces the shows and kind of like the announcer sidekick who jumps in and raps with people when needed. He's leaving. I need someone to fill that role. I really like what you do. Would you be willing to do that role every Saturday?" And I was like, well, I already committed to this other show every Saturday. So I have to get up a little earlier, go there a little earlier, stay 1 hour later, but I get paid a little bit. So now I'm back in radio officially, part of the Devil Radio team. And I get an extra $5,000 over the course of the year. So $100 a Saturday. Not bad.
Who's going to be your sidekick if your sidekick's leaving?
I'm going to have to be my own sidekick. I'm Batman and Robin.
You need the weasel.
I could. I might have to call him in once in a while. No, my show is okay because I usually line up guests all the time. So I got people to talk with. But yeah, I'm pretty jazzed about that. I'm pretty jazzed that a guy who owns a radio station showed some belief and faith in me as a broadcaster. So I'm excited, man.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks. So for the people that say to the end of the show, thanks for that. I'll give you that little nugget. Mom and Dad got it anyway. I was going to call you and tell you earlier, Mom and Dad. Sorry. All right. So that's what the Packers got to do, is get J.J. Watt, and everything else will fall into place. We already know that. We'll talk about MVS next week, Ben.
Yeah, sure.
One of these coming weeks here when we're in the off season. We'll dig into MVS. He's definitely got some importance. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about other stuff.
Bruce is talking smack about MVS lately.
We'll see what else happens.
We got to teach him.
All right. We'll see what else happens before then. Rick, take care of yourself. Thanks, man, for being awesome, being a friend of the show, being a friend in general. And again, I hope I'd love to see a Packers Raiders Super Bowl one of these years. That'd be fun.
I agree.
All right. Take care, everybody. We'll catch you next